So at the moment I'm spending more time at home, and I've also got more helpers because the kids are back from uni. So we've decided that we're going to clear the garden. We're going to do some garden clearing. And I'm from a family of really good gardeners. Unfortunately, I am not one of those really good gardeners. And the things I tend to grow well are things like weeds and ivy. And I'm not talking about the type of ivy, the delicate stuff that you get in flower arranging or in patio pots and things like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the type of ivy that grows to the size of a tree. It has roots that grow down so deep they're really hard to dig out. Any plant that grows next to it, it swallows up and kills, and it also blocks out any other sunlight that is going, and it just grows and grows. And the other day we were looking at this ivy, and you just have to ask yourself, like, how did that get there? I don't remember planting that ivy. How did it get so big? And how do I get rid of that? It's going to take days to dig that out. Loads of time, loads of days. And if you're a keen gardener, you know that this is not a good way of gardening. If you're a keen gardener, you know that you have to tend your garden regularly, and then you can spot any problems that are starting while they're still small and get rid of them easily. And we can apply this story, this picture of the ivy in my garden, to our Christian lives as well, can't we? We can be walking along in our Christian lives quite merrily, quite happily, thinking things are going okay. And then something makes us stop and listen and notice something. And we ask ourselves those same three questions. How did that get there? How did I let something control me that was not good for me, that blocks my relationships with God? How did it get so big? How did I let that thing take over my thoughts and my habits and my attitudes? How did that get so big? And also, how do I get rid of it? This thing seems to be growing and growing in me for years, perhaps. How do I get rid of that thing inside of me? In Philippians chapter 4, verses 8 and 9, Paul gives us a bit of advice on that. And I just want to read those verses to you now. And the verses are these. And now, dear brothers and sisters, one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is true and honourable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. Keep putting into practice all you learned and received from me, everything you heard from me and saw me doing. Then the God of peace will be with you. So in those verses, Paul recognises that our Christian lives aren't always going to be perfect. Things aren't always going to be right, are they? And attitudes and our thought processes and the things we do, we'll get them wrong. But he says there are things you can do to help with that. He says, focus on things that are lovely, focus on things that are true, the promises that God has given us. Think of those and they will change your thought patterns, they will change our habits. Think of things that we're grateful for. Think of the things around you that you're thankful for, that you want to thank God for, and they will give you joy, and then you will have peace. And Paul then says to keep going with these things, don't give up, just keep going. And that means for us, perhaps every day trying to listen to God, to what he's saying to us. So like those keen gardeners, we can squash any problems before they get too big. And then Paul says, you will have the peace that God gives us. We will have the peace of God with us. And that can transform our hearts and transform our minds. So this week, I just want to encourage you to take time to walk and listen to God every day. Just to notice around you, notice habits that perhaps aren't right, notice thought processes that aren't right, and notice things where our attitudes are a bit wrong. And then to take time praying through those things. Take time talking to a friend about those things, or contacting us at church as well about those things, and we'll pray with you. But just spend some time with God this week. It's been lovely to speak to you, and I'm missing you all so much. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and see you soon.